I'm Patrick Bailey with IQlist.com. Today is February 23rd, 2020, and in this video I'll be going over a few of the fixes that came out in the Prusa Mini Firmware 4.0.3 that was released on February 19th, 2020. Okay, if you're new to all this, like you just got a new Prusa Mini, you may not be aware of how to update your firmware. I just did a video, hopefully, and posted it, and I'll put a link here in the show notes. Hopefully something pops up here showing you to go there on how do you update your firmware. But assuming you've done it or haven't done it, if you're unaware of, what you can do is you can go to Prusa3D.com drivers, and you can scroll down here to the Mini, and you can see what the latest firmware is, which right now is 4.0.3. And you can also click on See Full Release Log, which will open up this. And this shows you what recently has been done. Now, there's a lot of things that's been done in this new tweak, and you can go in detail. Now, but for me, the things that I care about, that I'm going to go over in this video, or at least talk about, one is the improved M600. So I've been having issues, and I have a couple of videos I've done, and I'll put some links here in the show notes that you can go to if you're interested. But there's been some issues when you're doing a filament change, and so it doesn't quite want to go back, or we've had some errors, and hopefully that gets fixed so that I can, I do have a lot of prints where I do filament changes, and if I can trust it more, then I'll be doing it on my Prusa Mini versus my Prusa i3 Mark III right now. So I hope that's gotten resolved. But I can't really fully test that in this video. I can just come back in a week and say, yeah, it's been fixed. But the things I'll be going over in this video, let's see, there's the first calibration layer tweak. That interests me. We'll go over the first calibration for people who don't know what it is. I'll show you how it's working right now, and then we'll see how it works with the upgrade. Hopefully it's a cool little fix. Not a big deal, but I'm interested in it. Another thing that's a big deal is the repeatable purge. And I'll show you how it's working right now on the problem. On the current version, hopefully the new version fixes it. Another thing I'm interested in is the crash dump feature. I'm going to see if I can simulate that. I mean, it's not an issue for me, but it's interesting because I think that will help people and Prusa to hopefully make the printer better. When there's an issue, we can easily get them a file on what happened, and they can try to hopefully diagnose it and hopefully fix it. Another one that's interesting is the heat bed temperature limit. I guess it was set where it could go to over 100 degrees C before, and now they're limited to 100 degrees C, and that's interesting. I just wanted to see if that can work. Another one that's interesting to me, but I can't really do much about in here, is the Ethernet instability. What they have done in this release is they've turned the Ethernet off. I haven't been using the Ethernet at all, but if you have been using it for some reason, they've turned it off, and if you're using it, don't upgrade right now. They're promising that they'll fix it in like the next release or the next one, but they're working on that. So with that, let me go show you how it's currently working with the first layer calibration, the repeatable purge issue, and the heat bed temperature. So let's go show you how it's working now. Okay. So of the three things, first there's the first layer calibration height. So if you're new to 3D printing, which a lot of people are who are going to be buying the Prusa Mini, and I'm not the best at this, but one of the most important things is getting your first layer right. And there currently are some issues with the Prusa Mini on the first layer, and I could admit there's some issues with the leveling that I have right now, but overall it's still working pretty well. So what you have is there's a special tool, there's a special program on this one and on that one to kind of help you calibrate the first layer height. On the extremes, just to give you an example, if you have the needle all the way down pressed against the board, nothing can come out. So if it's pressed against the board, nothing can come out, and you've got nothing. If you're too high up, it's coming out and just not even attaching to the board. You just have this string. Like if I had this at this coming out, it's just not going to attach. And somewhere in between, you get a nice little level where it's coming out and attaching and also bleeding out correctly to the sides to attach to the one next to it. So you have to have like a kind of a perfect adjustment. So with that in mind, they give you a little tool in here to help you out. So right now, also to show, let me go to the info here and go to, let me back up. So let me go to info, go to system information, and that's the version info. There we go, version info. There we are, 4.0.1, just to show you that I'm still on the old firmware. And what we can do is we can go to calibrations and go to first layer calibration. Click on that, and what it will do is it'll warm everything up, which I'm already warmed up, but I'll hit, and it'll want to load the filament. But if you're okay, you hit next, say I'm good to go, hit next. And what it currently shows here is negative 1.155. That's my current offset. That's my tweak to get it to the proper level. And this video is not going to be about calibrating it. I just want to show how it currently works because apparently they're going to change it in the next firmware. So maybe I'll do a better video sometime about the first layer calibration, but for right now what it does, it goes back and forth, and here I can adjust it. So I can actually start changing the height here if I want to. In my case I think I'm fine, so I'm not going to change the height. But you can start tweaking the height and you can sit here and look really closely and see how well it's doing. In fact, I need to get a light here to help out.
Probably should have used the white filament.
White filament could have been better. Well, I can restart this video.
Yeah, I can still see blue.
Yeah, I mean the point of this is not to show, but they zigzag, and then once it gets to the very end, it does a little rectangle, and it goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And apparently in the new one they're going to change its nature. So I just wanted to film it really quickly just to show how it currently works versus how it's going to change. And there you go, there's a little back and forth there. I know, it's very exciting. Also, one thing I have a problem with this is when it's done, it just goes back. It should really stick out forward in my mind so I can get to it. But let me remove this. So that's how it's currently working for that. So we'll see what the changes are. Oh, come on, get you up. And hopefully, oh, yeah, not too bad. I got a nice little flat piece. That's not too bad. Oh. So you want it to not come apart. But anyway, so there's that. So the next thing, I'll hit no. I'm out of this wizard now. The next thing that's a problem is the repeatable purge, which I can show here. So let me go down here. I'll go to preheat, go to PLA, and I'll go to filament. And I'll unload this current filament. So it'll take a second as it gets back up to temperature, but I was already pretty warm, so it shouldn't take long. Okay, there we go. We're getting it out. So the unloading wasn't part of the problem. Although there have been times when I've had unloading problems. But in this particular case, so now I'm all the way out. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to load filament. Hit PLA. Now the problem is, what happens, if you get it in there at the right time and everything goes perfectly, you're good. But what happens if you push it in a little too late? So here I'll hit continue, and I will wait a second, and I'll push it in late. So I push it in late, and so what's going to happen is, if I'd had another color in here, it'd be a much bigger problem. It's purging now, but it didn't quite get that down far enough when it started to purge. And so what happens here is when it's done, is the color correct? I can say no, and it will purge again, a little push. But it will only do it like one time. Rather than, if I had gotten stuck here and this was right here, I'd have to go purge, 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 purge. I don't have that choice. I just get one time where this, okay, I guess I was far enough where I was okay. But see, now it goes back here. Load, unload. I'm off that screen now. Which at this point, if you're changing filaments before a print, it's not necessarily a problem. But if you're changing filament between layers, so if I did a layer and I went to change the filament and I didn't get it in far enough, at this point it'll start printing, and it's not in there. It's not in all the way. So you actually have to stop the print and force it to do it. It's kind of a pain in the butt. So I really want that one to get fixed because that actually hinders the way I do things. And the last thing that's not really a problem for me, but it's interesting, it's easy to test, is this bed right now, if I go to settings, and I go to temperature, I go to heat bed, I can actually change this beyond 100 degrees. I can go to 125, and if I hit enter and go back, it drops down to 115, but it will actually heat up to 115 degrees C, which I've never printed anything, like PETG does 90 degrees C, so I've never done anything beyond 190 degrees, so I'm not aware of what needs that high of a temperature. I'm sure there's something. But I guess for here we're limited in materials we can do anyway, so I guess for safety is concerned, I guess they brought it down to a limit of 100 degrees C. So since it's easy to test, I thought I might as well test it because make sure they're actually doing what they said they did. Okay, so we got it up to 105, and it will get up to 115. I've done it a couple of times before. So now I'm going to go install 4.0.3, the latest firmware. I'm not going to record it for this video because we already did another video, and then we'll repeat these things and see how it's working now with the upgrades. Okay, so now I have 4.0.3 installed. So I go here to information, version info, and we can see I have 4.0.3. So let's see what changed. What things are better or worse for the three things I'm looking at right now in particular. So one is the calibration, the first layer calibration. So I'll go to calibration, go down to first layer calibration, and I've already preheated it, but if I hadn't, it would go through that. So let me hit next, next, yes, next. And I'm already at negative 1.155. I want to see what it does. Okay, let's see what's different now. Let's see if you're gonna... Ah, there you go. It's making a cube. That's different. And now it's gonna fill it in. Okay. Not a big change, but probably a little more appropriate. But it still shoots back. Okay. Well, that was underwhelming, but it was different. Just slightly. Okay. Get all that up. Nope, I don't like that. That's not good. We have to adjust it some. Now, I'll just hit no. I don't want to do any more. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is the filament. So there's a repeatable purge. So if I go to filament right now and unload it, I wait for the temperature to get up here. Supposedly now the purge will be more repeatable, I hope. Okay, we're getting it all out. And I'm going to drag it all the way out. And then I'm going to do filament load and intentionally try to load it late. So hit continue. And right now it's inserting, but I'm actually not inserting it yet. So I wait till, there we go. See, I'm way late to the game. So see, I'm stuck way up here. I did that on purpose. So now it's purging, and you'll see it's going to go really slow, which is appropriate.
But in the past, I only did it once.
Yeah, you got one chance, and then that was it. So let's see. So now, is it correct? So this is the same as before. I'll hit no. It'll purge a little bit more. Let's see if it keeps saying no. Do I get it again? Is it correct? There we go. Oh, no, perfect. So I got it again. No. I get to keep repeating my purge. Perfect. Okay, is it good? Nope. Perfect. So that's been fixed. That'll help when I swap out layers. You know, if I ever swap out filaments between layers, and I don't get it in there fast enough. I did that several times. I messed up and didn't get it shoved in correctly. It's nice to know I can fix the problem. I mean, it's slow because you're going so slow, but you can still fix it. Yeah, that's a big deal. Okay. There we go. Cool. So that's a big fix for my mind. So now I'll hit yes. Here we go. Are we good? Yes. Cool. And the last thing I'm going to show is the heat bed. They said there was a limit to 100 degrees Celsius. So if I go here, go to temperatures, go to heat bed, can I go beyond 100? Oh, nope, there's 100. So they locked it down. Now I'm not going to sit here and wait for it to go to 100 degrees, but you can see I can't go beyond. That's it. So that's been fixed. Well, for me it wasn't a fix. It's probably a nice safety feature, I guess, because I never go beyond that temperature anyway for the stuff I do. But the three things I can easily check are fixed and they're working. So now I'll probably start trying to do some more of my stuff where I'm doing multiple filaments, where I keep changing it to see if it's working right now. And if I can do a couple dozen like that, then I can come back to trusting this, so I can actually, because I've had problems with filament changes. Hopefully the M600, which is the G code for filament change, is fixed now that I can trust it. So cool. So as much as I can test it, it's working.
Yay, Prusa.
Yay, Prusa. Yeah. Hey, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, hey, give it a thumbs down. Also, if you like what we're doing here, subscribe to the channel by clicking the subscribe button. And lastly, have a piece of info to share? Just post a comment.